Horizon Forbidden West is here, and while it's a sequel, it introduces a lot of interesting dynamics. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on GameRanks, 10 things Horizon Forbidden West doesn't tell you. Starting off at number 10, you can turn on quick swap for weapons in the control settings. Now, being able to quickly swap between the two most recently used weapons is a pretty common feature found in a lot of video games, but it's also a really handy one, especially if you're trying to combo certain attacks together. So the fact this incredibly useful controller function is turned off by default and hidden away in the control settings is a little weird. You're swapping between weapons and different ammo types basically all the time in this game, so there's really no reason not to make the process a little faster by making it so you can just tap L1 instead of having to hold it and then select a new weapon every time you want to use one. All you have to do is go into Weapons, Controls, and scroll down to find Weapon Quick Slot. Flip it on, you are good to go. You also actually have the ability to select between which things you want to quick swap, which is a great thing that honestly more games that have quick swap should give us the option to do. It's just beyond my comprehension why such a vital feature that you see in games like Doom Eternal and that works to great effect is just turned off in Horizon Forbidden West by default, but at least it's in the game, so after a quick switch, it's really hard to complain about. At number 9, there's actually a motion aiming option. Right above the weapon quick swap option is another at least interesting and possibly very useful option, motion aiming. If you have that turned on, you can aim with the assistance of the PlayStation controller's gyro features, which in the right hands could make aiming a lot more accurate. Now, gyro aiming can take a little getting used to, but for a lot of gamers, it's something they swear by in games like Splatoon. So it's cool to see that feature in this game, even if it's, again, buried deep in the settings and something that a lot of people will never notice. I will also say that it's not for everyone. I'm not somebody who personally uses gyro aiming, but I have also seen incredible Splatoon players just clean up the map with it enabled, so it's really up to you. At number 8, some of the best new skills to get early aren't really telegraphed in any way. So the skill tree in Horizon Forbidden West is way bigger compared to the first game, and it's easy to get overwhelmed by the sheer amount of options for how to level up. Now, a good thing about the game is that leveling up isn't the only way to get skill points. You also get them for completing side quests. So it shouldn't be long before you're sort of flush with skill points, so here's some tips on how to allocate them. One move you should definitely try to get as early as you possibly can is the triple notch skill in the hunter tree. This moves pretty much exactly like it was in the first game, which means it's still incredibly powerful. With it, you can fire up to 3 arrows at the same time, which is great for taking out weak spots on machines. Even better, all the skills you need to get to unlock this ability are really good as well, and do things like increase your concentration and other things along those lines, so the triple notch ability is definitely something you should consider getting ASAP. Other skills you can get as soon as possible are anything that makes crafting easier, like Ammo Expert, for instance, which makes crafting ammo for weapons way cheaper, or Plant Forager, which makes it so you can collect more items from each resource node. Workbench Expert is also really good as long as you plan ahead and remember to stop at a workbench in town after you get it, because it makes crafting certain ammo types way cheaper compared to crafting them on the fly. Basic crafting materials are pretty plentiful, and you shouldn't have any problems crafting arrows and stuff, but you may start running short on certain elemental types of ammo, so it can be really useful to sort of plan ahead with resource management so that your crafting is done at a workbench. It costs significantly less to build stuff that way once you've acquired this skill. We have a few other personal favorites, like the spitting spike technique, which makes it easier to hit certain machines with a spike thrower, but for the most part, you can't really screw up your build in this game, so you can mostly go with what you want. At number 7, you don't have to worry about fast travel packs anymore. One annoying thing about the original Horizon was that if you wanted to fast travel, you had to craft these fast travel packs and spend them every time you wanted to quickly go from one place to another. They're back in this game, but they're slightly modified. Instead of being required for any and all fast travel, you only need them if you want to fast travel without using a campfire. So when you go up to any campfire, you can fast travel to an available settlement or a discovered campfire free of charge. So you're not going to need a golden fast travel pack in this game because you basically have one by default. There is another way to fast travel that gets unlocked at a certain point in the story that is even better, because you can go to this location and also leave it at any time, and it doesn't cost anything, not even a fast travel pack. So once you've got that place unlocked, you never even have to worry about these things again because you don't need them. At number 6, a way to avoid drowning that is easier than you might think. Sunken caves can be a great source of treasure, but for a big chunk of the game, exploring underwater can kind of be a dangerous proposition. It's a long time before Aloy gets a rebreather, which makes underwater areas much easier to navigate, but some of the best resources are found underwater. Probably the easiest place to get greenshine, a very valuable resource, are in these underwater caves. But a lot of the times these things are so deep, it's nearly impossible to get the resources and then swim back up without drowning. So if you start drowning in Horizon Forbidden West, here is a very simple solution. Just use a fast travel pack. When we said you can use a fast travel pack anywhere, we meant it. You can even use them deep underwater, and even if you're moments away from death. So go down there, get the green shine crystals early on before you have the rebreather, and don't worry about it. You got a fast travel pack in your inventory, get out. Get out of there. Makes zero logical sense, but who cares? And number 5, annoying weather, just reload the game. Really simple trick. If you don't like the weather in the game, just save your game, exit out, load it up again, and the weather's going to be completely different. As far as we can tell, the weather's randomly generated every time a save's loaded. So if you're annoyed with having to deal with the rain while hunting machines, and believe me, if you're in the middle of a hunt where you're sniping or dealing with any kind of range, basically that is going to be a big problem for you. There are other situations where the weather might affect it as well, but that one is the most obvious I can think of. You know, a point where rain would just specifically change the visibility conditions. Then you can easily perform this little trick, switch the weather, and wow, it's way easier to see. Of course, if the weather's connected to some event in the story, then resetting the game isn't going to make a difference. But if you're just hanging out, and particularly there's something you're trying to do that various weather can make more difficult, this is a great trick. At number 4, it doesn't take very long for the quick select menu to get pretty overloaded. So if you want to be able to access your potion and smoke bombs without having to scroll through a bunch of junk, open up the item crafting menu by holding down on the D-pad and then pressing square to change them. From here, you can completely remove an item from the list or swap it out for another one. Reorganizing your equipment, yeah, it can really help. An important thing to keep in mind is that the order your items appear in on the screen is the same as their order on the HUD. So if you want to change around the items that get a spot on your list, just do it from here. Being able to quickly select the stuff you need on the fly is pretty important in this game, so while the option to adjust this stuff is buried a few menus deep, using it is very helpful. At number 3, there's a setting that can actually make climbing a lot easier. One thing we've noticed a lot of players are having trouble with is climbing. Until you get used to what to look for, it can be difficult to tell what surfaces you actually can climb. And if you hate having to spam the focus button to discover where the handholds actually are, just go to the accessibility options and turn on climbing annotations always on. And it does exactly what it sounds like it does. Now those little yellow lines appear automatically, so you can always tell at a glance where you can climb. It's really simple, but it can sometimes be hard to tell what you can grab onto, on top of being a little inconsistent about what can actually be climbed. So having an option to just always highlight the handholds is helpful for people who find the focus effects annoying to have to use all the time. And they are. And number 2, side quests can affect the main quest in surprising ways. One interesting thing a lot of players might not realize is that a lot of the side quests in Forbidden West actually have an effect on the main quests. You can sometimes get unique dialogue and even whole new scenes that play out because you completed a certain side quest before advancing the story. Now, it's not always the most groundbreaking thing, but it is cool to see the stuff you do get acknowledged once in a while. Now, you rarely are locked out of anything, so you can still do the side quests even after they're relevant to the main story. You just miss out on some unique moments that some players out there may be interested in seeing. Basically, if a side quest seems kind of important, it's not a bad idea to do it right away, because sometimes it actually will affect something that happens in the main story. And finally, at number 1, there's a button for putting your weapon away. It's about as simple as it gets, but I had no idea about it until I started messing around with the controls. It's actually possible to put away your weapon by hitting L1 to open the weapon heal and then pressing R3. You know, what happens when you click the right stick. And that makes you put your weapon away. It's nice when games let you do that, especially open world games where sometimes it gets weird seeing a hero run around a town with their weapons drawn. And nowhere in the UI does it tell you that you can do this, but it does definitely work. Sure, you eventually just put your weapon away automatically, but being able to do it on your own is a nice touch.